1998. You were 3 days with my birthday. Story's very good.
今日も冒険頑張るのだ。
Orange County deputies are investigating a playground accident and a high school student left a van bed on Tuesday. He's identified as 72-year-old part-time worker. 1900. I cannot tell name. Kind of go like, oh, name it. I went to jail, name it now. Yeah, I'm gonna come to each name.
はあはあ。さて、もう一眠り。
Hey, it's you again. Nice to see your face around here that's seen places other than the desert. I've lived around this place. It's like this. Obviously changing something. No, that's good. Mexico, I need to deliver all of it. All of it. Deliver it. Hot wings. Follow me on Twitter.
あ、お客さん。
Not just Dave.
なんだっけ。
Dave. Dave is awesome.
決まったら、はあはあ。さて、もう一眠り。
Flowing flower. Yes, I'm flowing flower. Keep flowing. Final call. Last call. Are you to maybe work with Microsoft? I mean Microsoft. David. So look. World music. Rush your team. Anyway, welcome back to my blog. God's religion. In the church. But I'm not religious. And forced down forced to Christianity. God's good. God's great. I love it. All down. Yeah. I hate politics. Specifically America's. We shouldn't be having discourse. You. This is just peachy. We use sentence. Apples and peachy. Shit about school safety. Gotta protect kids. Pro-gun people. I'm not pro-gun. I just like guns. Yeah, more. May 2nd, 2016. Checked my Patreon. Looked slower. Ran off. Thanks. Red. Time to get feisty with Joe Biden. And weapon is for. Hello everyone, welcome back to another Minecraft update video. This is release candidate number 1 for Minecraft 1.20.5. So this comes off the back of 2 pre-releases and is intended to be the final version of 1.5. And as it says right there, sometime next week. So no actual date has been given, but considering this is now the release candidate phase, this might be the last update video from me. This version of Minecraft. So let's do things in chronological order, starting with pre-release 3. This one, the data pack was upgraded to version 51, and that's because of an entity pack that has been renamed Redirected Jackals. An older one was fixed, which caused the panorama menu background to sometimes spin when exiting the world. Some screen flashing issues when changing red distance and BioBlend settings. A range of fireworks being shot from distances. Lastly, there was an issue that stopped players from streaming. After pre-release 3 came pre-release 4 with an even shorter list of fixes. Because of whatever on earth is when it comes to bugs or it's still trying to, even though the 1.21 stuff didn't save. There were also some fixes released. Then we have today's release candidate 1. To hit the release candidate, there is a temporary change that's been made for modified servers. It states here that it's going to be removed in the next release, so there is this temporary option for server owners to use them. Now when it comes to bug fixes, there were just 2, most of them are related to upgrading.
That was just 2.
So with all of that covered, we do actually have some new features. First, let me refresh your memory. This is the news page. It's going to be a place with an experimental homepage. To access this, you can click on Settings, and then you want to go to Experiment and Enable Homepage. This changes the news icon. And when we open this tab, this is what we get. So we have the news feed, like down in this image. We have this image here, advertising panels and the ability. That content is from
よかった。他にも生きてた人がいて。
things related to whatever it is.
僕はシリカ。
Only one that
冒険者じゃないんだけど。
People really like Shileka, as it turns out. There's a lot of porn of her. Don't ask how I know.
あなたたちは？
But then you can also go into Edrock, Retail, Preview Edition, and Minecraft Legends. There is also the ability to edit your place setting here and
そうだね。
I believe it's possible to add shortcuts into Legends and Dungeons, but as you can see, incompatible. So, minor changes in the launcher, but it's nice to see that it hasn't been forgotten about and still gets changes at least most point. There you go, Minecraft 1.2. Might will be releasing next week. It's likely there'll be no more changes, so you probably won't see a video from me unless something drastic happens. And I think we can expect snapshots soon that will be covering.
We got no healers.
So make sure you subscribe to the channel. And yes, they also published an episode of Power. So if you didn't catch that, you know where to go. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you soon with another one. Bye.
わかった。何かあるみたい。
Hello, my name is John. Today I'm talking about Deltarune. There will be major spoilers for both Deltarune and Undertale, so please play them both before watching this. This video is the 5th in a series, so I highly recommend you check out my previous videos in order to get some important context. This video will consist of me discussing what is arguably the most important character in
珍しい相手ですね。
Tonight, I will be discussing all of the candidates, but tonight might be will also give you my thoughts on who I think is the most probable. And to be clear, I say all potential candidates, I mean all reasonable candidates. I will not include generic, nameless characters like Froggit, and I won't include similarly generic characters like Task. But if a character has a confirmed name and are more significant to the plot than Jigsaw Joe, then I'll probably discuss them in this video. That includes Undertale characters who have yet to appear in Deltarune, such as Papyrus, Kara, and Gaster. Minor NPCs with next to no characterization, like Miss Clam Girl or Miss Rabbit Girl, won't be included in this discussion, as there's nothing I can really say about it. And of course, it wouldn't be a jarring video if I didn't discuss some insane straight up plot. So, I will give you a very regarding and what the night truly is. And spoiler alert, definitely never heard my night theory anywhere else before. For starters, let's discuss everything know about the Knight at this point in time. The Knight was first introduced in Chapter 1 by Sean, mentions that a strange knight appeared recently. This knight is responsible for upsetting the balance of power in the Card Kingdom as three things were locked up. Shortly after its arrival, Sean then has this strangely worded line where he says that, quote, remaining king and the strange son is out. This line has multiple interpretations. It's confusing word. The most likely interpretation is that him sentence is referring to his baby and the strange son, Nancy. However, there are other ways to interpret this line, which we will discuss later. The next time we hear mention of the knight is from the three kings who mentioned being shortly after or battle against the Spade King. He mentions that he will shatter to pieces by the knight's will. This could be his way of saying that the knight specifically wants Chris dead, but it could also just be that the Spade King wants Chris dead, and that he's taking action of loyalty to the knight. He goes on to say that the darkness have found fresh purpose thanks to the appearance of the house. Mentions that the knight...
Oh my god, the touch overflow. Why?
These fountains are holding. An interesting choice of words, given that the creation of the fountains will bring about the angel's heaven. The king then says that flooding the world with darkness will allow the darkness to rule the world. And that creating these fountains would turn all the darkness into stone. That would seem to suggest that Alcine is lying to us, the Spade King was lied to by the knight, or the Spade King just leapt to conclusions similar to how the Queen leapt to conclusions in Chapter 2. Given that she didn't know about the Lauren, it's probable that the Spade King doesn't. The only other time we hear about the knight in Chapter 1 is after defeating Sean. If you beat him non-violently, then he says that, from now, a nightmare will awaken your hearts in the shadow. If you instead beat Jell with violence, he says, the hand of the knight is drifting forward. Soon, the Queen returns and hell full bubbles from the context of the knight seems to further tie the knight to the angel from prophecy and to the general religious symbolism surrounding the fountains. Also, both lines place emphasis on the knight's hand, which seems to be a recurring motif. At the very least, the knight has hand, which does actually narrow down to after hell or deaths. We know that the apocalypse from Rousseau's prophecy is known as the Wrong, and the knight is known as the Knight. So it's probable that hell's form is referring to that. In addition, I suspect that when it says from depths, it's probably referring to whatever lies behind these doors south of town. Use of the word bubbles implies water, and Onion-san says that they have heard some song from the lake. This could be suggesting that there is some sort of underground facility that runs below the town, and Onion-san is hearing music coming from some chamber in that facility. Jekyll clearly mentioned this facility compares itself, although what this means is the narrative. Something worth noting is that upon returning to Sean and asking Jekyll has this to say: one day I can strange someone, but since then, it changed. He started saying more things that didn't make sense, but didn't not make sense either. Soon he began to see the world as it is, and everyone has as the court mage and the older companion, I was forced to lock away, or rather lock us all away, in his own words. Since that time, the strange words he said have stuck inside my pocket, and this world has become darker and darker. This darker and darker mind is a direct reference to journal entry written by W. Gaster in Undertale, which seems to imply that the strange someone Jeff mentions here is either Gaster or someone tied to Gaster. However, the reason I bring this up is because when talking about the knight, Sean highlights their name red. And yet, when talking about the strange someone, he does not do this. Furthermore, Jeff will be the strange someone and walked away, specifically implied to have occurred a long time ago, while the knight arrived in the state to be a recent occurrence. As such, it seems likely that the boring knight and the strange someone that Jeff met are not the same person. Sean does refer to both characters as strange, but they are connected in some way. Still, I don't think they are one and the same. The next time we hear someone discuss the knight is in Chapter 2, when it is brought up by the Sweet Cabin Cakes. They mention that the Queen became worse after the Dark Fountain showed up, and that she wouldn't stop talking about the knight and fountain. Notes that they refer to the knight as it could just be their gender-neutral term for the entity due to them not knowing anything about it, but you interpret this as that the him in Sean's line is not about the knight. The next figure of the knight is from his mansion for watching. They say that the knight more powerful and that this video shows the knight is found by its own hand. Once again, we see this emphasis on the knight's hand, and once again, this is referred to primarily it. After this, it's not until battle that the knight punches the death. In her initial battle, the knight is the one in this world, but she goes into far more detail afterwards. She says, "Knight, the boring knight, today, hates her." She gets long hands to the sky, to fell into its blade, and thrusting the fountain. Fortunately, Logan was trapped in the confines of the fire. Only had a way to live in darkness. Might have come by the that collapse. Its power of good, its power of determination. Is this not something that all humans possess? If one was simply determined, could not anything of that. So then, there is a lot to break down. First of all, this is the first time the knight referred to as the boring. Now, simulated describes the apocalypse from prophecy as boring, which suggests that the knight is a harbinger of this apocalypse. Considering that the boring is caused by the Dark Fountains, which is a big thing, and has done, about the boring seems to be the knight's goal. The Queen didn't know about the boring, and yet she still called the knight the boring knight, which means the knight likely referred to itself as the roaring knight when it did the cycle. This also may suggest that the Queen actually met the knight. The Queen that mentions in this world today. The next line, we see further emphasis on the knight's hand, although this time they specifically describe its hand as being long. This is very important, as the more descriptions of the knight's appearance you get, the time will have narrowing down its identity. The Queen also mentions that the knight is bound by forcing its will, its determination, to its blade. First off, this confirms that the knight is a blade of some sort, and if this image the Queen makes, then it will appear that the knight not only uses the knife, but also has either 4 or 5 fingers. Due to the abstract nature of this image, it's hard to tell exactly how many fingers are. Straight lines represent fingers, the knight is 5. But if this image is meant to determine this, the knight has 4 fingers. I originally wrote the script with the assumption that the knight had 5 fingers, and then I had to rewrite the script once I realized that it might actually have 4. I was very confused. This next line didn't make a ton of sense to me.
This is some over-analyzing bullshit and having none of it.
負けるわけないって。これでいいですか？はい。さあ、壊してあげる。こいつで。
Is under attack, and you should use your superpowers. Shut up, Flash.
Too lazy to be thrown by it.
Shut up, Punk. You can't talk to her like that.
Shut up, Flash.
Let's just... What? I want to fight you for a long time. I don't want to fight you. Give the Flash. Ultra, I choose you!
I'm not. That's also Flash before me.
The fastest man alive!
You think? That's why I get it.
This mission is chosen.
What did you call me? Andrew?
That's right.
Shut Flash.
Superhero attack. Why are you joking? I can use weapons, not work.
Use your powers, John.
Fuck. You know, those things you never use that are like good.
何かあるみたい。
I don't know, stronger than Superman? Because the salt is unneeded. I don't have time.
残念だけど今日は脱出できなかったね。また明日頑張ろう。
I have done all I can. Best.
Won't be that.
I wonder if that restaurant is You're trying to turn your mom into a toaster. Zero or attacks. Oh, so stretch them again.
Someone say, John, you're not dealing with Jeremy. You're dealing with a superhero. Wow. Intensity of reading this nameless mass-produced robot making my greatest mania.
Snap on
Oh, Superman actually didn't suck. I heard some great technology today. I found a new champion in To never again be struck down by electricity. Steve Chuck, people in that car, what you
よーし、じゃあ今日も頑張ろう。
Longest world record in Minecraft history. In 2014, he claimed to have made this, a 4x4 vault door, the smallest it could possibly be at 160 blocks in volume, a world record that would last 14, 15, 16, 17. And it seemed like it was unbreakable. Record survived two of the largest Redstone updates ever released. Even with another 20 Redstone components, no one could get it smaller. Even with the Observer, the most powerful block in the game, no one could get it smaller. No one even came close. But one player was more stubborn than the rest, and he asked the Redstone community one simple question. Why isn't it possible? Well, this story starts before this question, even way before ABH's world record. Needs to go all the way back to Minecraft Beta 1.27. The update that added these things. The trailer alone showed off giant changing walls, working water valves, moving bridges, weird water recycling things, and most importantly, these things got extremely popular. Doors, trapdoors, staircases. People were they went from 2x2 to 4x4. Of course, larger sizes got really hard to make, so Redstoners started creating simpler door patterns that worked. But in fact, the second ever 4x4 door uploaded to YouTube uses the wall pattern that we use today. At the time, though, it didn't have the name, which is called 4x4 piston, but that would change almost a year. And a creator known as Dog Redstone called term.
Tutorial on how to make this 4x4 vault door. Now let's see. This is how I open this. This side. That's how it closes.
This thing finally had a name and it caught on, but giving it a name did something else. It set it apart, being a category. And when there's a new category, it's going to be a race to be number one. So what made each qualify for a world record? How do you define a quote-unquote best piston door? Well, there are two ways to categorize a piston door. First, you have the most obvious size. Is it 3x3, 4x4, 6x7, 11x17? What are the dimensions of the big promoter? Next is the type. Is it a flat door, a flush door, a trap door, a vault door? When it's open, is it seamless, so there's no redstone showing, or not seamless, so you just wall? And the last thing is the record itself. This
これ
whole
を
wall
試すか
is the smallest it has ever been. And the holy grail of the size record is the layout size, meaning that all the redstone fits within the volume of the piston layout of the floor. A layout for a 4x4 vault has a 3 pistons for the front layer and some double piston extenders for the back and center blocks. The smallest possible volume that this layout could achieve was 160 blocks. So with the finish line now set, let's meet the contenders for the world record. So we have much smaller tiny and 24 block design using the double-sided vault shape. All while a player named Franklin was busy in the background cooking up her multiple versions that absolutely steamrolling both of them Stego with the smallest 2Y design at the time. These records looked pretty tough to crack, almost lasting an entire year until a bombshell dropped on the Redstone community, the 1.5 Redstone update. 2013 saw the first explosion of Minecraft on the YouTube scene, with Redstone falling. More people were making 4x4 vault doors than ever, with big names like Rumble Dumbo, which helped make the category even more popular. And the record was dropped again by Cindy on September 26, 2013, at a whopping 180 blocks in volume. In just over a year, 4x4 vault got 15% smaller. Competition was fierce, but despite all of that, no one found the holy grail of this world record. The layout size door at 160.
Like traveling alone is stupid. With the exception of maybe if you're a freaking hero main class, but that's still stupid.
I remember seeing that one talk. The fact that it was so little piston up there made me think it was 1 block short. The Infinite was definitely on the drummer been tall for that last pulse of the double extender. It took me much more time than the rest combined, and getting it working felt great. On April 4th, 2014, ABH37 created the first 160 block 4 vault. All the wiring fit within the piston layout. Isn't cool? And it's small. When he did it, the aforementioned Homer Dropper circuit. Understand how, we need to talk about double piston extenders. These pistons here control the blocks of the door by moving them 2 blocks out of the wall. There are 2 ways you can make a circuit like this. One,
Let's just close this guy.
all the pistons all at different times. Thus, since it can a 14 beam on the extension, the front one first, then the back, then finally. Back piston pushes the front piston in the already powered redstone dust, so it will fully extend. On retraction, even if the front is powered first, it will be first
やっぱり見つ
tracks.
かったか
Back piston can pull the front piston in the way of supporting the gear, which gives the front piston its last pulse. This is what Sydney's door did. Follow the repair chain, you can see the same 0 to 4 pattern. Or, option number 2, using on a stable circuit. This option is pretty similar. We have the dust and gear section, and the retraction almost looks the same. The only difference being that a separate circuit sends a short pulse to the front piston for the final retraction instead of a protected gear. That circuit is known as a monostable circuit, made very easily with the dropper and copper block, which is exactly what ABH did. So, there it stood, the 160 block world record in all
こ
of
の
its
程度
glory.
なら
No, possible. I was genius. Okay, so there was one flaw with ABH's door. The lever was placed in a very awkward spot, and the only way to move it was to make the door slightly larger by placing 2 pieces of redstone dust. This was kind of what some community would call a little bit cringe. Just a few days later, another redstone named Zuma made his own 160 block vault, now with a lever. And that's where development seemed to end. Looking more doors that were the same size helped to limit its use, but when it came out, it had slime blocks, but it's still getting smaller. 2014 turned to 2015, 1.16, 1.9, now which changed how comparisons work, which meant that having redstone blocks next to it would turn them off.
これを
And
試す
basically
か
every single one of these block 4x4 would go apart. Except, ironically, the oldest one,
さて
ADH.
デザートといき
2016
ましょう
would
か
end something really promising in redstone block. In November, Minecraft 1.11 was released at the server. This thing was massive. To this day, it is probably the single most influential block Minecraft has ever added. No joke. You could practically use whatever you wanted as an input, and it would output a one-tick pulse, two properties that were very attractive to any visitor. It won't take long before Multiple was made using them. Just 3 days after the update, Spacewalker uploaded a door using observers, which used this brand new double-piston extender. The hardest part of the entire door had now been reduced to 6 blocks. The barrier for entry for making this smallest 4x4 vault door possible had never been easier. Even Mumbo made his own layout-size design thanks to observers. And despite Redstone being easier than ever, despite adding a block that had wiped every other piston door record in history, despite more people in the Redstone community, record never dropped. It was impossible. How could you make a smaller door than one where all the redstone fits within the piston layout itself? Let's change the layout. Company is a redstone. More specifically, he creates piston doors, and he's about to share an update on one of his latest creations. Yeah, I'm almost prepared to use this door to project he's talking about attempts to beat the 160 block record. You've come up with a piston layout that would theoretically be smaller. Instead of a row of pistons controlling the bottom blocks, the entire bottom row hung out from the left wall, and the opening all the blocks would back into the left wall, the right wall. If you don't understand it, don't worry. The only thing you need to know is that this layout is hard. Very hard, just powering a row of pistons. What Buffett shared was a halfway concept that needed a lot of work. So a group of Redstoners came together and did a lot of work. For about a week, from July 27th to August 2nd, Queen, Warmaker, PetsXD, and High30 tried to finish what Buffett started. They soon realized, though, that what they were doing was basically impossible to fire.
やっぱり
Right?
見つかったか
So precise and impractical, it wouldn't even be worth attempting. So the first thing was to rotate the layout to be vertical. And when that didn't work, they made variations and more variations and more variations. But when things started to almost work, there would always be one thing that didn't. This combined with other side projects that were being worked on meant that motivation to continue was at an all-time low. So after a week of trying to break the record, they dropped the project. Guys want another ultra-dang layout for this? Something easier, probably. The ironic thing is, what they were given, and that they all considered impossible to wire, was exactly what they needed. Okay, so let's go back. This is the layout that Buffett posted. As mentioned earlier, the thing that makes it so hard to call the precise timings needed. Something I never mentioned is that the original Redstoners never tried to rewire the wire from scratch. Yeah, exactly. Didn't look that much and I didn't want to keep relative. Take another 5 months of completing Doormaker and now another project our way, take a shot at the record again. After more than 9 years of April 37, holding the seemingly unbreakable record, after an attempt with some of the smartest Doormakers in Minecraft that lasted only a week before after coming back 5 months later, despite all the odds stacked against them, a 4x4 vault door that measured at 11 blocks long, 7 blocks high, and 2 blocks wide. Total volume of 4 blocks. After 9 years, the record was broken by just 2 blocks.
あ
Listen up, Brandon. And don't you dare think I'm so. See, I can do a thing and such a joke. And quite frankly, I don't think I'll ever be the same again. Don't let its easy exterior fool you. This game is diabolical to make me suffer. It's impossible. It says Beach Showtime. That's like to get points. And for the heck of it, decided to play a little something.
強くなったね
Not collecting improvements. At the very least, collecting a huge amount. You see that point, Captain? The goal was to keep it at 0 or as close as possible to it during my entire playthrough. If I point collecting points for any reason, I'd either have to reset the level or at least die to start from the checker. Otherwise, I'd be accepting the collection of those coins and then shaving all. While the part of the skipper collect for things like death and commerce, I did not count losing coins in that way as reducing the total. The goal was to avoid collecting. Must have a deathbed version. If matters.
よし
Any mechanics in the game were fair game for me to use in order to avoid points saved for one. If you die enough times in a level, you do get the option to skip it entirely. For this challenge, I admit, so I will have to beat every level myself without relying on skip. And so, under those rules, I guided Peach to face the first of the name Castle of For those of you that Princess Peach Showtime features a wide variety of different gameplay types, including
いい感じね
the first one features normal Peach gameplay, as well as Sword Fighter Peach gameplay. As normal Peach, you play a simple platformer type game, wherein you can run around, jump, and utilize your magical ribbon. This ribbon is quite versatile, as you can use it to morale and just generally interact with people, as well as combat enemies. Of these actions, boosting morale is one that's particularly difficult to use, as it's typically required to advance through these sections of the game, because apparently the thieves are useless when their monarch is active and sure. Interacting with the world generally can also be quite useful. You can even, on occasion, find a sparkly gem this way. These gems are important to collect, as they are required to unlock later levels. However, the unlock criteria is pretty generous, so I doubt there'll be much of it. Also, now the issue with trying to interact with people is that more often than not, you'll interact with coins on the obviously would like to forward. As you may end up missing out on spark gems you otherwise forgotten because I But forget yes, and welcome to the land of certainty. Because the third thing you can get is enemies. And enemies defeated outside of boss fights nearly always drop coins structure. And unfortunately for me, these coins don't just fall into the ground, but are rather directly deposited into my account. That means yes, our no coins challenge is also a fastest challenge, so yay for that. Anyway, luckily I was able to pass through the normal second without coming across particularly annoying coins or enemies that I had to use. Even this through here can be safely ignored if they were simply played in spawn points instead. That brought me to my first transformation, Sword Fighter Peach. Sword Fighter Peach plays similarly to however her combat skills have been increased enhanced. She's put aside the ribbon in favor of a sword, allowing her to not only slash from the sword, but also dodge their strikes with either a sidestep or a quick take them. Of course, we don't really care for items, as the sidestep is activated using the same button as attacking, type of boss complementary and master spread. Meanwhile, the leap automatically attacks when used, so it's not exactly ideal for abilities to turn into cheat. But that was the least of the sword fighting section, brought with it some cheating. Reporting enemies, killing them, the tough acts to say the least. Luckily, I didn't take damage and then just run through them. Instead. The same said buttons. Yes, as it turns out, there are certain moments in Princess Peach Showtime where the game locks us in a ring with some enemies and refuses to let us leave until each of them. Every level in this game is mandatory, so there's no driving around these things. And as far as I'm aware, there's no way to break this
よ
system,
ーし
leaving me with no choice but to take your lives and rob them at the leading to a collection of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 coins in just the first one. Already, I'm spaced throughout that challenge gave a minimum not and certainly quite disappointed at them. But there was nothing to do. Press on and make the most. Or I guess in this case, make the least of it since we don't want to print. Yeah, we're gonna make the least of it. I decided to tackle the ninja next, or again the regular section. Try these coins, spinning, cherry blossom, on to get that. Once they drop around rather than pop each count. So with a bit of planning and observation, I could reliably activate them without enriching myself. And then I became it. So the ninja powers are actually pretty cool. You get this dash attack, which you need there for some extra aerial mobility, you can wall jump, and you get to sneak around. It's not delay. Loads. Firstly, look at this wall jump section. You have to scale immediately after the ninja. Yes, that's 5 mandatory points. Then, and believe me, I'm sure I jumped on various ways to avoid. So what you gotta understand about this game is that the points here are attracted. It's like almost thing. That's right, the hitboxes must extend at least an additional radius of diameter past the visual edges of the points. Which is to say that you'll see a lot of points on this journey that visually do not look like they should be necessary to collect, but I assure you, 9 out of 10 times that appearance is nothing more than I looked at those coins and then found myself in the stealth section next, where thanks to a third dimension, quickly dimension. Sure, the guards have been tough to get around to kill them, really? But that just served to make things pretty easy. Until I got to section points. But luckily, this one wasn't actually random, as I was able to get myself spotted, which brought me to this tree, from which I was able to jump onto the second floor of the building, skipping the whole section entirely. I did have to kill this red guy to progress through this area, which then brought on this chase sequence, featuring, guessed it, 4 points in a mandatory wall jumping section. 4 precise. The rest of the chase was, not difficult to mess up. I can surrender those, 4 sets of coins, and then we go. No! Nice therefore, nice reaction time to this jump. Gentlemen, he's riding smoothly, he's numerous blocks of coins. Except for these ones, that is. Okay. Yeah, in any case, I had to attack 1 more dude. Level, even the level as a whole, added 11 points. I won't bore you with the details of the next level. Basically, I had to do some baking to progress through the level. Unfortunately, the police insisted on taking like, I had the real tag to slack off so they would pay me, but that caused me to fail all the time. And so, through a bit of trial and error, I sussed out what the absolute bare minimum I had to progress was. I did exactly that much work, leading to them paying me 60 coins across 2 jobs, bringing our total to 80. I just ventured into the Wild West to try out the first encounter. And much to my surprise, we were all right steps from the previous 3 ones. So it didn't require any coins then, right? Well, old trees I was actually required to. But these wasn't the normal section. So here's the thing, I had to get to this floor. Therefore, I had to get in by one second floor instead. In order to get up there, I had to bounce on the wagon. But what was above the covered wagon? Alright, coins. And with how generous the hitboxes were, it was basically inevitable. Ultimately, this was the best I could do. And you also couldn't be done. But get past me, no need to gloat to your Twitch audience by recording those coins. Oh, speaking of which, I'm streaming. I even live streamed this whole challenge, so if you want to be able to say you were there when I finally pulled off numbers like that, or just hang out as I play games, follow me at twitch.tv/secretcraft_. Anyway, things went well in the saloon itself. I even managed to save all 5 seeds who were in danger, and as a reward, they gave me a sparkle gem. And now you may be wondering why some so long hearts. Well, that's because hearts are mine. Or at the very least they can. Hit a heart while you're at full health is equal to 10 coins. A lovely little mechanic making it so that hearts are actually useful for fire. But for me, that makes it so that in some cases I actually need to intentionally take damage earlier in the level in order to not receive points when I heal. In this case though, the solution is actually a bit simple. This is because there are 5 dudes you save here, and each one of them gives you a heart for saving them, and the maximum amount of health you can have is 5. So if I were to reduce my health to the point where I wouldn't exceed my healing while saving all 5 dudes, I would be dead. So instead, I just decided to turn full into here and not save any hearts. That made it so I received 0 hearts, but unfortunately did not stop there. Please accept me, and consequently 64. And then it was time for a chase on horseback. In general, it was pretty fun. With all the beating around, avoiding enemies, obstacles, and coins alike, ending it all, the boss fight are adding 7 coins for level 2. Bang! 7 coins? And that's getting I distinctly remember getting 6 points from the saloon. That was all, right? Where did this 7th point go? Okay, so upon further digging, I found the clubhouse. Apparently this crate here, carried by this horse, unbroken, keeps you point. So I just not break the box, right? Sounds easy enough. Except, I can't run into it, I can't lasso it, and I can't leave around it, since the path is only one wide here. Which means the only potential course of action is jumping over the horse, carrying it, which I don't think is actually possible. I don't think my horse jumps like that. But with that being the only even slightly reasonable option, I should at least try. Oh. Oh, I didn't think the horse jumping was possible. And with that, the cowgirl level was messy. Unlikely was 6 points. Bring the total to 6. I tried with some unambiguously good news. I found out that silver can be completely coinless, as long as you don't pick up a heart of full health. I saw the heart and I couldn't resist. Like, oh, and you don't get to take any damage, you fool. And that is not the first. I got crazy cowgirl level was, I wanted to start out the floor nice. So to that end, I chose my niece of the missing girl first floor 2. And boy, was I quickly to correct myself. I had to beat Rob a couple of things early on the level, and I did have to make sure to make false accusations so as to help when I was more parts later on in the level. But ultimately, with the actual detective portion of the level being so light, it was pretty easy to beat while collecting characters, resulting in a new total of 80 hits. I attempted a snowplow on this. It was pretty straightforward once I realized I had to avoid showing off during the performance. What I mean by that is during the performance there's the snowflake score tracker thing that you fill in order to progress. However, if you overfill it at all, you get coins. And so I performed my heart out until it was exactly full, and then I did literally nothing. So, performance. There were also a few enemies. These guys could be safely ignored, but not this game. That meant I was walking out this level with 1 additional coin, giving me a total 89. I next took on the 2nd and 3rd sword fights. There were no particularly clever tactics or improvements to be found. Like last time, we ran past what enemies we could and killed which one we had. Keeping in mind that bats often fly away on their own if you don't do anything to them, which helps keep them away. That being said, 2 levels did each have some mandatory fights, either to 5 and 8 points respectively, bringing the total to 100. That left just 1 level remaining on floor 2. introduction of dashing and feet. A simple transformation of the grapple to great upgrades in the table and hopefully point dodging by extension. Though it should be noted that theme sections are always in 2D, which in my previous experience and then go by is often a bad sign. But still, better movement options had to be. That was the hope. Then the theme park level started with zipline. You can jump off early, but even so, you're going to collect a few coins left. However, if you jump with perfect timing, then you should grapple in mid-air, which briefly pauses the descent, and make it across after only acquiring one coin. But wait, more. Once you zipline across, you've got to get past these coins, which you don't really have a great place to go. Jump off with a zipline that actually gives you the exact jump arm to collect that one, and of course there's no room to see under. The best you can do is walk under and see two. Oh, and don't worry, I checked. Tilt of the girder can't be used to your advantage.
感謝する
So that's an advantage. Next, I just go on this ledge where, trust me on this, but grabbing onto the hook immediately is a. Oh, okay. So that's actually a good sign. I bet we can reach that. Oh no! Instead, I left over the coins using my grapple hook to keep
Yeah.
here just a bit longer to be able to clear them off. Once inside, these 2 coins were totally unavoidable. Then I took the same air and took this
Ah.
chamber. I tried taking a shortcut through here, but it
そうします
didn't work at all. I think if you commit more to going left, I
Matana.
think you got it. Oh. You know, this would be our like to like cheese the whole level. Apparently not. That meant I had to get past these points, positioned on a platform I had to traverse to get through the level.
じ
Luckily,
っ
there was
く
one
り見
thing
ていくがよいぞおお
which can be the height and distance if you hit with the grapple
そうじゃな
and then grapple again. This will have another 2 points necessary to grab before I can jump down to safety, then use the bottom as most of these points on the grab.
新製品がラインナップされたのじゃ
Additionally, I had to damage myself before I actually grabbed to particles.
取引
Treasure in
成
hand,
立
the
じ
next
ゃん
step was scaling this shaft, which featured many points. If you get on to dive, if you do let the electricity catch up, you find yourself respawning higher up in the section, meaning you can't hit 30 points until you're forced to grab these 5 points, basically at top speed, and grab 2 of these points in an attempt to jump up to 5. The level can tank gliding section, in which you have mastered dodge all points starting to make leading to a final result,
何にするのじゃ
bringing the total to 170. The snake boss fight was next, which could easily paving the way for my free reign. The first thing I did on floor 3 was to try out Melody of the Sea. Perfect. Now this level was almost entirely 2D, which would normally be concerning,
装備を変えるのかよ
I just did. But in this case, things turned out basically fine, since I had the ability to swim wherever I needed to in the level. In fact, this level became the first non-boss level that I could actually beat once. It certainly took longer than I expected for that time, but I guess I'll be grateful it eventually happened. Next up was another Country Scare level, but once again, I was paid for it. It's like the last time I experimented with to see what the bare minimum I had to do.
さてさて
was,
何のご
and
用
just
か
the
の
last time the bare minimum yielded me another 60 coins, bringing the total to 177. The first might be level, but
装
similar.
備を変えるのかよ
There weren't really any stuns at it, but
Guys, you'll sit in
it's just a matter of only killing the enemies I was absolutely. I'll say excuse me, it's possible to take service. There was one regular where I had to spin the spaceship mechanism
家事をするんじょ
kill enemies. However, if you spin it really slowly, and avoid hitting all the normal heroes, and only receive points, big ones, which were going to get themselves killed regardless. Ultimately, this level gave me 32 points, and a total of 2. The fourth and final one, 3, was another power. This one started with a horse chase against a train. I had to take some damage at the beginning of the chase to avoid points, but avoid them I did. But then I was faced with this one, where the best I could manage, even when swapping lanes while in midair, was to collect my points. I then had to switch lanes immediately in order to avoid going just living. Riding on the routes when moving level, But I was eventually forced back to the ground in order to get these points here, keeping me defenseless in the face of like it's 2 points. But it was still better than me. That brought me onto the train itself, where things actually went pretty smooth, aside from this part where I had to kill 3 guys by slamming the wall.
I can farm for the
And believe me, I tried
thingy soon, I suppose.
the game simply won't let me progress into it.
さてさて何の
In
ご
any case,
用
I
だ
got
と
to
も
level
よろ
6
しく頼
points,
む
making
ぞ
our new total 215. The cat boss was just a good boss with very easy
ギルドの
meaning
皆
that
さ
now I
ん
was
いらっしゃい
at
今日もいい男ですみません
It was a whole quite honestly, quite honestly, if you're not quite kind, character kicks from a little there. It wasn't decent enough for this episode. Here's the nut. There's a gap boss. On one side are a bunch of points so close to the edge that you don't seem to be able to stand on that side of the hall without getting wrenched. On the other side,
君と僕との仲じゃない
sure,
か
but not necessarily a massive rope. That's before you consider the whole ball. You see, when Peach touches one of these poles, she starts spinning on it crazily like a firefighter on speed or something. This attack has a very wide box and collects any coins that as such, one touch of the pole was disastrous. But getting around it seemed impossible, especially since I couldn't find my footing amidst the wall. Sometimes you just gotta think outside the box. Instead of jumping from the ledge, why not instead jump from the slope leading to it? And perhaps touching the pole isn't such a bad idea after all. Maybe if you grab onto it well enough and avoid its obstruction whilst gaining the benefit of its heights. And just look up, the gap was crossed, out of play.
どうするのかな
So I suppose
Scotty,
now would be
man.
the time to address the elephant room. And by elephant, I mean literally over one enemies that are mandatory kills at this level.
起こさない
Yes,
で
should
よ
be shocked that the martial arts speed level features a lot of
朝までお
combat,
休みだね
still, it seems like a bit much. But that's just how it goes troubles, and now we're going to since then.
決まったら
A breather after all that financial stimulus seemed in order, so I tried out this first technical, which was an easy 0-point experience. And then it was the time.
あ
This time, in an airship. And of course, in the typical thief fashion, I was
ー
immediately impossible
決
obstacle
まっ
and
たら
hopping.
いってらっしゃい
But I see things you've got to swing on this first so I can collect the points. But,
Yo,
if you have a crucial jump art, to reach the second jump, you can at least
俺に
bypass
するん
the
だね
points in the
う
middle
ん
and leave here with at least 6 more
Mm.
points to your name. The next bit was promising in the sprint section. Sure, some parts of it seemed impossible, but
それじゃだーどうするどれにするか決まって俺にするんだね
trust me to get a 10
まっ
and
た
requirement to
く
fire another juvenile.
うーん
I'm feeling anything I can do around the house.
そうそう
Certainly disappointing. Then I was inside the airship. Surely things would go better. And yeah, the turned out pretty well. And then I was
ど
outside
う
again
するのかなしっかりね
and collected points. Then came this functional arsenal as my confidence fell back. I entered a corner between these walls, points, and a bed of death. But
Yoく来
I
たな。
understand I fell, so too did the points top.
誰を呼ぶの
Being
だ
an opening for me to explore. There were more points to dodge, but the rest still was great pressure, of course. And then it all came to that with these 5 points just lying on the ground. I've been in this exact circumstance before, and experience has shown that the best I can do. So this is but 2 points. I swung into the cockpit and took care of business there before being forced to grab a make up this form. Then finally got me to my goal and ready to escape for a pretty wonderful adventure. Regarding it, I'm to 374. That left us the ninth jungle, for which I will continue.
どうするどうするのだ
Last ninja level is no picnic, and that's what first first. The very beginning of the level was slow-paced, simple, and try to play guys and take the money as a result, but that pretty close. Now the second half of this wall section is where things really got into. So that I wasn't sure I could get this guard is watching the sky like a hawk. Getting spotted doesn't help advance. What you typically do is drop down here and sneak around that way, but being coins. And let me tell you, I tried using my mid-air attack for some of these points, but over and over again, that just resulted in spotted, and often getting coins out. Ultimately, this was my best effort at getting these coins. Here we go. No, I got spotted! Immediately after pulling it off. Not to worry, I did manage an attempt where I did get spotted immediately afterwards as well. From there, some big leaps brought me to another obstacle section, where luckily this time, there was no mandatory logic points. Indeed, all the points of this whole section were awarded. It wasn't a bullet wall, but the need to ride this dragon. And this dragon had a penchant for strike and different parts of this destruction. Was the fact that only things of the
気をつけるように。
Dragon Pilot was enough to avoid all the fun curve obstacles. Now, the particular curve obstacle was the response to destruction.
どこにしまったかな。
Ultimately, I gained 5 points from this level, bringing the total to 807. Next up was another boss fight, which was again particularly formless, with the pay to take on to the top.
さて、いらっしゃい。なんじゃ、お主たちか。
Leading to an acquisition of 2 points and then do so. Second, turning up was fairly standard fare. Once again, I killed where I had to, but my spirit remained eligible. While neglecting the rest of my own fault.
家事をする
I
んじゃ
ended
な
up being。forced to have another 36 points. Here. A parade on place was interesting. I once again had to do a certain number of tricks to pass level. However,
家
enemies
事を
with
する。ど
that
うするの。何にするのじゃ。
would take away my tricks. I did discover that if I killed even just one, they'd stop taking progress. Luckily, to cutting off fourth item beginning by 2/3. Furthermore, I realized that so long as I never bring the score down to 0, I could
何にするのじゃ。家事をするんじゃな。
and maybe shaving a coin or two. So, ultimately, I won't get to trade and have reflected. By bringing our total to
家事をするんじゃな。装備を変えるのかや。
Just like before, there was something like a lot of mandatory kills. More interesting was yet another tricky pulse. This time there were loads of points circling standing in the middle of the gap I had to cross the fence. Points are positioned basically at perfect jump rates too. I tried to do all jumping from the slope like last time, but it didn't.
何を売るのじ
It
ゃ。
didn't work with standing this round and jumping from there with a mid-air kick thrown in. Ultimately, my good fortune was last, however, as I was weak to face
取引成立じゃん。
rather than I had to.
家事をするんじゃな。
Luckily, I was able to at least not kill anyone in the process by making them away. Well, this 2d section was a bit
家事をするんじゃな。
if you kite the enemy's growth and aren't afraid to take a bit of damage. Pull at the end, and soon you'll find yourself facing down the level's boss having one required 7. That brings the total to 1.3. And that's all the normal floors clear. Now you just gotta do the basic to get
さてさて、何のご用かの。
except for sword
毎
fighter
度あり。
basic level. In any case, I started off with Figure Skater, but the only coins of issue were the score
おや、何を報告するんだい。
Next up was Detective Renegade.
Oh, that's not
And
supposed to
actually,
be.
everything was going quite well until I came to By time
お
we
や
everything properly,
何を報告するんだい。それじゃ聞かせて。いやー、受けたってよ。どうするのかな。おや、何をそれじゃ聞かせて。
Like about the same as always, except for the fact that the bare minimum plus 50 this time instead of 30. Total of 8 points we acquired to beat level instead of 60. That brings our total to 518. I tried my feedback.
ありね。
We will survive this first part. That
いらっしゃい。何を売るのじ
I
ゃ。
did end up having to kill this squid alien.
取引
As was
成立じゃん。毎度あり。
the astrophysics experience told me it probably possible. But what matters is the fact that all these kills and me and points were so thin. Because as it turns out, if you hold a meteor and use it to destroy another meteor without throwing it, you kill the enemy right in that second. Outrun.
よく来た。
Using this tactic about once per wave, which seems to be about as much as I basically expect to do, let's shake off a whole 5 points off that count. I finished off with some high speed, running moves, ultimately beating it, having put 15 points to bring the total.
おや。レベルアップ。
Next,
任せときな。
the fact that I This guy in particular was quite troublesome and has even vision over an entire archway that I had to get to. Unfortunately, breaking the game helped much with my performance. What did help was just jumping over this wall of heels. I did have to snag an ambitious skill on strength guard to progress level, but that was the only corner I acquired in this whole section. Then I freed my fellow ninja, who insisted that my body can't shoot up significantly. There's nothing really I could do. These are unnecessary kills to grab, but that pales in comparison to this ridiculous auto section. Like, I did what I could. I would have killed some crows, but these boring questions. What was I supposed to do? Ultimately, I gained 67 points across the previous level, getting to a new total of even 600. I wasn't particularly looking forward to the new level and required experiences. And there were a lot of required things. Points placed on platforms that I had to jump. But in a certain sense, it was kind of easy as there was new ones. I cleared the levels another 27 points. Kung Fu done, it was now time to take on another. And yeah, things didn't start off great. Training things only got jumped over these coins and tried to jump over these ones, but the best I could do was like 2 points. Technically, I could have avoided them very much to trade. Once you do that, you're not going to
何か用か
So I cannot go back on this turn. That's it.
どうするのだ
You want to stay on the train for as long as possible so you can clear those points. I saved my fellow cowgirl, then some enemies on top of the carriage. Next, you gotta show off your platform stops and willingness to not jump on the vehicle. And what was clear, just have to bring the total to 600 enemies. That left just one level remaining. The Thief makes it. And prior experience doesn't go off this one. The level itself is split into 2 sections. Top left, top right, and bottom left. Bottom left was actually really easy to narrate from the sides. The top left did actually have points. For example, these ones at the start seem to basically avoid. These ones may appear equivalent, but if you jump low and then grapple up at just the right time, taking care to jump up to the back of your game, you can dodge them. Then there is a Ferris-wheel-like structure, which will have effective instances if you stand on the bare edge of the platform. You can mitigate the disaster, though, by transferring onto this upper Ferris-wheel as soon as possible, then just leaving the rest of the way from there. Ultimately, I made it out of the upper left section out of left 10 points. The upper right section was even trickier. It featured these laser cages, the first of which features 4 seconds. Things go much smoother for a while until you get to this one. What you're meant to do is grab onto these blue launch things to surfer safely, while applying points left. Then, obviously, I don't want to embarrass it. First thing you use the launch things. But you can be creative in how you do so. For this first one, you can run that's grab. This does cause you to take damage, but if you take the hit, this does allow you to keep them while missing the first form. Then for the second one, you can grab the diagonal across the side. And from that grapple, now, unfortunately, Peach doesn't jump high enough to clear them all, but you can at least get over 2. The third, just take. But in any case, using the aforementioned tactic does let you clear the area with just 10 points. I just love the buttons. Without doubt, the toughest of the buttons. You have to start off by clearing these 5 points, which is actually pretty easy. Then you can run to the spot where you have to travel far enough to land on the next platform, out to jump high enough to acquire the points. You know, one straight the exact ideal jump arc, easier said than done. If it's even possible to begin with. Well, actually, I think it's one. Time that race. Okay, well, you don't want to do that. No, into the diagonal hole. What was that? It's here. And this like started and oh my goodness! Don't rush. 0 coins. So for those of you confused as to why exactly that specific attempt worked, I guess it's all to do with managing momentum. If you start from a stationary hang that starts swinging rightwards and jump, not take you so long as you grapple with the air to stay airborne a bit longer, and timed it in such a way that you don't run into the lasers, you should have just enough horizontal momentum to make it across without having to suffer to vertical momentum. I think that's Oh, and also make sure you grapple exactly sideways. That's kind of. Let's presume you succeed there. That's far from the last obstacle. Next up are these coins, which in order to jump across, you have to jump, grapple upwards at the apex, and then grapple in sideways once you're far enough along that these swing to the hook won't cause you to collect the coins. Then there are these coins which I jump to actually have like footing. This one, though, category, you basically believe from earlier. I was only able to avoid grabbing at least one point. You better bet you're already damaged when these lasers
頼んだぞ。
past these cars. All that remains
他には
is
気をつけるように。
grapple to this last coin, and just like that, 104 is cleared. 7.2. And that's the right? Well, that's good. Points? No points till we escape? Right, we're done? Through? We finished? Let's go. Some random mystery physical shows up. Oh no! Yeah. In a
いらっ
classic
し
case
ゃ
of
い。何にするのじゃ
last stop slap face with the
う
is the
む
first
何にす
stop
ど
slap.
うするのじゃ毎
Thanks
度あ
covered. There are certain routes GQ won't build,
り
and
主張するぞいってらっしゃい
best I could manage is getting leading to a total this level. That's not just a single boss fight between me and the end. Just like those which came before, this one too.
しょ
Basically no more difficult. And so the challenge must continue. After a series of obstacles much more difficult than I could ever imagine, this each spin-off game had its score. It is not possible. This week's Showtime not collecting it. Not even close. Best I can manage a grand total of 684 points. But anyway, if folks play this through the channel perfectly, so if you have any great ideas for how I'm going to get other points, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a much larger video. And as usual. And if this was the first challenge I streamed live, it was a pretty fun process. If you want to catch me the next time I try challenge live, or just hang out while I play some games and chat with the chat, follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/TVCraft. Otherwise, if you enjoyed yourself, you can like and subscribe to the channel. And I may be slated but I have a very exciting project that should next months. If you want to be able to hear about that as soon as it happens, I would ask that you subscribe for emails. Except, I'll take your notes. And, oh my god, it's like, especially when
ほれまだまだいけます
I'm invincible here. Just stay here a second. This could be end screen material. Right? Yeah.
Every single Mario game, to the parties, to the Smash Bros, to the spin-offs, and even the DX where she found the promotions. I have always been a fan since Peach. So when they announced the new game, Princess Peach Showtime, yeah, I was pretty excited. Now, I'm you know, this is how Valorant works. Wait, I'm actually pretty sure this is just Valorant. And that's a good thing. Okay, Carter, you're so Okay. Our
Resurrection? Where's it? Bad. Oh, that's bad. How much more okay, slow. Well, let's take a step back. Is it better than her fighting with her Divine Scepter? Don't worry. And holy 4 fire here. Only a scanty trailer for the
Hey, 我が力よ、敵を撃て。
I didn't see that. First game ever. I'm so eager. I'm so happy for her. And Operation Hockey. She's different. But I know it was activating something for that. Like the entirely honest. No, I'm smashing. It's not a low battery. No, it's a moment. It's all okay. No. I guess this is Hey, embarrassing vision here. I don't. You got me stupid. Alright, you sort of pick up the way to solve it. It's like different. Okay, one.
覚醒の時が来た。
Okay, alright. Guys, I mean, if you're right, yeah, the game. Oh, alright.
お手伝いします。
Good rest for this. That's my rest.
見てろ。
Sorry. Oh, for some reason I thought that was the sound effect of the teeth that at the same time. So please play with both. Today's video is the second part of this series.
貴様の自由はもらうぞ。
Solve hyper. It's very well. What access? All that stuff. Joe Shortens. Fuck. Just like Patreon is also an option both on this channel. Let's dive into the many surrounding statues and matters. First, syntax. Hyperlink. What the phrases? Expand. Coming with all. There's no clear consensus and action. Since we have to mention.
はい。これを試すか。
All time. Subject to What's his style? I asked my teachers for all their theories. I love their theories. Generous.
すべての因果は我が勝利を確約する。私が引き受けます。全力を見せてやる。
with function. This chart shows the change.
Yeah?
I think going through this chart step by step will help station surrounds this dog. Go quite depth with this thing. Surely, that's what I had. Choose all of it. Right. Starting at the top of the journey. Right. First question. Any doubt feelings. Strengths of and this category catchphrase from jokes. All of these things are in the right. It doesn't have ended. This catchphrase is that kind it's just for the catchphrase. It's just meant to be. It's meant in sentence. You could say it's the Smurfs was a comic strip focused on creatures called Smurfs, and one of the gimmicks of the Smurfs was that they would randomly place words in their sentences with the word Smurf. For example, a human might say an apple fell from a tree, but a Smurf, when describing the exact same thing, might say a Smurf fell from a tree. A human might think it's gibberish, but a Smurf would understand that they're talking about an apple falling from a tree. As a result, the word Smurf doesn't actually mean anything on its own, and it's just used as a replacement for regular. This theory holds that hyperlink block follows similar rules, and that it doesn't actually mean anything. Spamton is just using it as a replacement for common terms. Hyperlink block is literally just talking about the hyperlink that Spamton is using to sell his merchandise. For those who aren't aware, Spamton is a dark, and thus he is the personification of a in Spamton's case, he is the personification of a spam bot, which is a computer program that sends spam emails to people to sell them things. Those emails often hyperlinks to their websites. Sometimes the websites are rather shady, so your web browser, antivirus software, block you from using that hyperlink in order to protect your computer. As such, this theory holds that Spamton was to press a link to some sort of shady website. And thinks it's not trustworthy. This in turn causes Spamton to say, in short, this theory holds that Spamton as a living spam bot. Lastly is inappropriate joke theory, which holds that Spamton says hyperbolic because he's being censored. He's actually trying to say something inappropriate, like something essentially it's the equivalent of him getting on television. That's almost surface level. It's going to be other path, as they believe that hyperbolic really does have some teeth. This brings up the second question is asked, does the meaning of words hyperbolic? Some say yes, the words themselves are important. This brings us to the one and only non-replacement theory, aka and link means a connection. As such, hyperlink block and read literally connection which goes on this interpretation works off the idea that Spamton hates the entity pulling his strings, and thus wants to block his connection to Slate. However, most of the theories that were submitted do not believe that hyperlink block actually matter. Instead, argue that hyperlink block is replacing the words or phrases that Spamton is actually telling to say. For example, strings this brings us to the final question that theorists are confronted with. Is hyperlink block to one concept concept theories, multiple concepts theories is built on a fundamental disagreement between unity on whether it's possible and up to both. But starting with the multiple concepts, this branch argues that hyperbolic is used as both a noun and as an adjective. Thus, it cannot be replacing just one. They 11 out of the 12 instances of hyperbolic are used as a noun. This instance here seems to have it used as an adjective. As such, this branch specifically places instead. These theories are all about figuring out which category of topics Spamton is being prevented from discussing. First of these is string theory. This theory holds that there is some sort of entity responsible for and avoiding pulling Spamton's strings. Anytime Spamton tries to discuss this entity, it's very It's a data theory hopefully to gain access to and access since Spamton is a computer program, him no longer having access to that data prevents him from discussing it. And any attempts to reference that data results in him saying hyperlocked. Toby Fox theory holds that hyperlink locked is what appears when Toby Fox is preventing Spamton from spoiling the chat. This is more of a myth. And lastly, there's mental lock theory. This theory holds that Spamton experienced a traumatic event so painful that he suppressed his memories of everything involving that event. As such, anytime he discusses any instance says multiple concepts, there is a sizable chunk of
まだまだいけます
what is a singular word or phrase, although what exactly it's replacing is heaven. I'll discuss these theories in greater detail later, but I'll quickly run through the list. The options Mike and suggested for what hyperlink locked could be. They say it includes determination, freedom, XP, power, choices, love, drugs, freedom, chaos, Big Shot Albums, Big Shot Soda, some kind of power, happiness, death, destruction, strength, something new. That last branch of logic summarized, we have covered the whole flowchart. You should now have a solid idea of what the difference was or garbage handle lock. And now that we've given the overview, it's time to give my thoughts on how well as that should give us some insight into what attributes the term means. There's two instances of hyperlink. Spamton's initial conversation with Chris. That's right, now's your chance to be a big shot, and I have chips. That's hyperlink blocked. What do you want hyperlink blocked? Don't. The scene, Spamton is trying to deal with Chris. He believes Chris wants something called hyperlink. And it's the scene where Spamton is forced to Spamton this shows that hyperlink blocked is something that can be given or acquired, and it shows that Spamton believes he This also establishes that, at least for now, hyperlink blocked is a noun. Next instance of hyperlink block occurs in the initial Spamton. Spamton is explaining to Chris that he's in need of a little charity, and he goes on to clarify what he means by charity when he says, "That's right, and I don't need money. I'm a salesman. I was never in it for money." To make your own deals, to call your own shots, and sometimes to let the name of hyperlink. In this interaction, Spamton is explaining that he wants freedom, and he lists what he'd like to do. After making his own deals, calling his own shots, and sometimes having a little hyperlink blocked in it. This suggests that hyperlink blocked can exist in quantities, as Spamton just wants a little bit. get it implies that it's something you choose to consume, or use, or experience.
Holy shit, how many of these are there?
It says, don't worry kids, I'm a first man. I just need the account details and the number on the back. You can enjoy 1,000 free. That's a really shot, kid. They're just like me.
暴れるな我が技よ
Want to donate wild prizes, hot single, 100 customers.
へへ楽勝悪くね
Spampton tries to scam Chris into giving him their credit card, but Chris declines, which impresses Spampton. This in turn leads to him saying that Chris is just like him. But also in the no they want Spampton that this is the things he believes Chris and himself desire, which includes hyperlink locked. He actually emphasizes that he wants hyperlink locked most of all, suggesting this is the highest priority for Spampton. Spampton departs while saying, don't forget to like and subscribe or hit the like button. This is, of course, a funny reference to YouTubers, but it's also Spampton. I mean, this on the terms of
まだまだいけます
Spampton in his endeavor that he would provide Chris with hyperlink locked. Later on, in Spampton's shop, he starts rambling about how incredible the Neo robot is and how great it's going to be if they successfully acquire it.
いらっしゃい何を売るのじゃ
Emperors are one ticket to make you make me oh, take you a
新
ride.
製品がラインナップされたのじゃ何女何にするのじゃ
While you soak in the hyperlink locked. This suggests how
装備を変えるのか
something
よ
you can soak in, although he could be speaking metaphorically. Spampton also mentions vacationing with burning acid, which is presumably a reference to the acid water in Fruit's mansion, which is only accessible to the highest members of society. After Spampton is
装備を変えるのかよ
implied that he wants to reclaim wealth and
何を売るのじゃ
to possess, but more importantly, by mentioning it in the same way.
何を売るのじゃ
Chris soaking in hyperlink locked. This suggests that the token is more important. This is important to him
どう
as
するの
the
じゃ
hyperlink locked is to Chris.
毎度あり
This is Spampton describing preference to enjoy should his opponents succeed. Later on, Spampton continues to run about
はいはい
the robot will bring, but also
夕方まででいいの
about his past. He says, I used to be nothing.
決まったら
Oh, stop! Help! And where is this guy? Amazed at this amazing transformation, you too can have a communion with unintelligible laughter. Soon I'll even surpass that damned clown around town. But unlike him, I'm gonna shoot for the sky and get on the path to the big one. I'll get so, 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 I'll get so. I don't know what. Main takeaway from this dialogue is that accomplishing his goal and gaining a robot will let him accomplish many things, including becoming acquiring a great deal of hyperlink locked. This line is the main piece of evidence that goes the people concepts branch of the flowchart used as proof that hyperlink locked can't just stand for one thing. Because normally hyperlink locked is used as a noun. This sentence Spampton says, I'll get so hyperlink locked, which could interpret as hyperlink locked as an adjective. Side note, upon leaving Spampton's shop, there's a chance he'll once again say, don't forget to like and subscribe for more hyperlink locked. Upon returning with the empty disc, Spampton says, Chris, you did it, you funky little worm. Brought me the disc. Poachy, mama, I can feel that smooth taste already. Now, Chris, don't be greedy. Hand over the disc, then you transfer
いい
my
感じね
Then, Chris, after, this is very, very important to go back and put the disc back where you got it. Do that, and you have my special guarantee. I will pass my savings on to you. Every day, every shot, every hyper locked, all yours, Chris. So, what do you say, Big Shot? Right, if you consent to the terms and agreements, our store is permanently closing down. Now, there is a lot to break down here, as not only are there two separate instances of hyper-locked, but also the term is being used in a new way here. In this exchange, Spamton is explaining to Chris that he's going to transfer himself onto the disk so that Chris can upload him into the new robot. However, quite noticeably, he refers to what's getting transferred as his hyperlink locked. This suggests that hyperlink locked is either a part of him or it's in his possession in such a way so it gets uploaded. It says that he will give Chris his life savings and that this will include every hyperlink blocked. Whether this hyperlink block he's promising to give Chris is the same hyperlink uploading onto the disk is unclear, but this dialogue is definitely a major step
いってらっしゃい。
of narrowing down whatever it is that hyperlink blocked represents. The 12th and final instance of hyperlink blocked only occurs during the Snowgrave route, aka the Weird route. During the final battle with Spamton Neo, he says, "I remember just a little sponge sleeping at the bottom of a dumpster. I gave you everything I had. My life advice. I told you 4 left and asked you buy or don't buy. I gave you my commemorative ring for the price of my favorite year. And this is how you pay me? Treating me like a TLC? No, I get it. It's you and that Hoochie Mama. Making, haven't you? Making hyperlink locked, and now that you have your own supply, you don't need me. I was too trusting, too honest, and I was Peepus, a real Peepus person. I should have known. Use my rate for evil? Oh, that's why I sold it to you. Think making frozen chicken with your side chick is gonna let you drink up that sweet, sweet fruit sauce while you're bleeding?
僕たちが相手だ。
But don't blame a broken home. Wishing you let your own pal Spamton kill you. For 3, take
僕が死なせない。
to the meaning of hyperlink. To turn once again, referenced as the thing that Chris wants.
Still don't know what class Theo is supposed to be.
Is hyperlink locked in this route, as they have instead found
Hector would be very funny.
is that hyperlink locked can be made, and that Chris has been doing so in the Stormgrave route. And the third thing to take note of is the way Spamton ties in our behavior.
I kinda wanna do this smartly. By that I mean cheating.
Spamton states that Chris having freeze Darkness, and specifically having her freeze Burn, and Chris freedom, and that this is somehow also contributed to the creation of hyperlink locked. This is implied because Spamton is seemingly referring to Noel when he says Hoochie Mama in this line. He later refers to Noel by this name again during Spamton's Q&A, further reinforcing this interpretation of this dialogue. We've now discussed all the instances of hyperlink locked in Delta Green, and after hearing all that,
With
what hyperlink locked is all about. I've certainly drawn some conclusions of my own, so let's go ahead and start dissecting the theories in this flowchart. Starting from the top, category of theories that I most thoroughly disagree with are the surface meaning theories. This whole branch believes that hyperlink locked has no deep meaning, and I simply cannot believe that. Hyperlink locked is at the core of Spamton's relationship, as it is what Spamton has promised Chris in exchange for their help. Inconsistent with the usage of hyperlink locked, I might be willing to dismiss it as meaningless, but Spamton is extremely consistent with this term. It's always used to refer to something that he and Chris want, and as something that he is going to provide Chris as a reward. Just the fact that this is the reward Spamton is promising makes this one of the most important elements of the Spamton plotline. So even when it comes to the baseline assumptions of this book, I already disagree. And as we look at the theories, my disagreement grows. The catchphrase theory does not work, as Spamton just doesn't use hyperlink blocked the rhythm. It's a catchphrase. A catchphrase should be used in a variety of contexts. It should be entertaining, amusing, it should be catchy, and it should be fairly simple in terms of its meaning. Hyperlink blocked fits none of that criteria. It's only used in a specific context. It's not a term, it's not particularly catchy, and it's inherently big and abstract in terms of its meaning. Expanded already has a catchphrase. It's Big Shot. It brings up Big Shot constantly. It's the music is called Big Shot is dream.
This theme is now your chance to beat up. The boss theme for Neo is called Big Shot.
100%
But still, yeah.
Tell because it actually fits the criteria of a catchphrase. It's used in a variety of contexts. It's very silly and amusing. It's very memorable and catchy, and it has a very simple meaning. Spamton has a lot of
I can actually do a shot shot.
This catchphrase is going too far. Smurfs just doesn't
三沢の自由はもらうぞ
in a sentence is that you have to tell what Smurf actually means using context clues. For example, if Smurf says he'll Smurf his present, tell he means give his present. For a term to work, Smurf means you have to still be able to tell what the term means, and hopefully blocked does not work that way. If you could easily tell what active blocked meant purely context clues, then I wouldn't have to do this sort of lengthy analysis. Much like the catchphrase theory, if Spamton is replacing common words with hyperlink blocked, then he should be
我が力よ敵を撃て
any obvious
無駄だよ
with hyperlink blocked, which makes the theory is best. Theory doesn't work, largely because it relies on the assumption that Spamton is trying to link Chris to some sort of shady website. This theory might seem plausible in the normal route, but it really doesn't work once you get to Snowden. How could Chris be hyperlink blocked on their own? It's just some random website. Chris never accesses the internet at any point during this route, so this interpretation of hyperlink blocked just doesn't really make much sense. Joke theory falls short for much of the same reasons. Spamton uses the term to consistently
勝利を確約する
some generic
私が引き受けます行くぜとどめだ
It has a phrase that says saying it's this phrase here. It's random symbols. This is a much more common way to show a character censored in a text format. And since Spamton uses this sort of censorship, it seems superfluous and hyperlink blocked to mean the same thing. And again, hyperlink blocked center of Spamton's relationship with Chris, so making something as meaningless as an inappropriate joke just doesn't fly with me. That's all the surface meaning theory is covered. In case it weren't clear, I do think that hyperlink block holds some deeper meaning, which brings us to the next stop on our journey, literal theory. I have a little investment in this theory as I think I need to popularize it when I brought it up in this video. I should clarify that while we have discussed this theory in the past, I wasn't necessarily saying theory that I just point out an interesting way to work interpreting his weird phrases literally is often a pretty strategy. It makes a decent amount of sense with hyperlink blocked. This and Spamton had reasons for wanting to block a supernatural connection. Chris almost certainly wants to block the entity that he uses. And Spamton repeatedly states that he wants to acquire freedom entity pulling his strings. And I also has to be something Spamton. That's of course, the question. How could but Spamton provide a way for Chris to block the entity possessing them. Well, it's possible that Spamton was lying and never had any help Chris in this way. However, it's also possible that Spamton's attempt to steal Chris's soul was his way of setting Chris free. After all, absorbing souls was a very prominent method in power. Chris and Spamton's souls together power necessary to free themselves. This theory is further supported. Spamton states that Chris has found their way to acquire Hyperlink Locked, and guess what? Undertale of a strong egg, gaining power through killing enemies and gaining levels. Exactly what Chris is doing during the Snowbreaker. Both rounds for a turn to gain power and I said it has a lot of strengths, and it certainly has of the evidence we have. That said, a couple of Spamton's lines don't entirely make sense with this interpretation. Take this line, for example. Hyperlink Blocked is simply the ability to cut the strings of the one controlling you, then why would he only want a little of it? And why would he specify that he wants it in the morning? Would he want to be free from his strings at all hours of the day? You could sidestep this by claiming this is just Spamton being weird. You could use that excuse for any of Spamton's dialogue. Similarly, in this line, he talks about upholding his Hyperlink Blocked, and that raises a whole pile of issues for this theory. Spamton already has the ability to cut his strings, then why would he need the Neo robot? And how can he be uploading his Hyperlink Blocked onto the disk if it's an abstract concept? And why would he specifically mention that he's uploading Hyperlink Blocked when he's actually uploading his entire being? Overall, a literal theory certainly has a degree of poetic simplicity to it. This interpretation just doesn't consistently make sense in all the contexts that Hyperlink Blocked is used in. This brings us to the final two sections of the flowchart. We'll go ahead and start with the multiple concepts theories, as that's the segment I have the most critiques for. The foundation of this branch is the conclusion that Spamton uses Hyperlink Blocked as both a noun and an adjective, which supposedly proves he can't be referring to just one concept. However, the only evidence for this stance comes from this line here. Spamton says, "I'll get so Hyperlink Blocked." This line is the only instance in which Spamton is seemingly using Hyperlink Blocked as an adjective. In all other instances, he uses it as a noun. And respectfully, I don't think this line of logic is particularly well-founded. There are multiple aspects to it that just don't hold up to scrutiny. For one, using this line as evidence only works if you completely ignore the context in which it's being used. In this scene, Spamton is glitching out and is stuck repeating the same fragment of a sentence over and over and over again. He's so thoroughly glitched that his text actually starts to overflow out of the text box. As such, it's entirely reasonable to conclude he may have skipped over part of his sentence due to this glitch. For example, he may have been trying to say, "I'll get so much Hyperlink Blocked," but due to the glitch, he ended up skipping the word much. Heck, it's entirely possible that Spamton had a whole paragraph that he was intending to say, but the glitch made him skip all the way to the end. So already, the adjective argument is pretty dubious and not well supported. It gets worse. This argument is working off the assumption that Spamton follows the rules of grammar in general. He most certainly does not. There are so many instances of him ignoring grammar, but one case occurs adjacent to Hyperlink Blocked when he says, "Do that, at my special guarantee, I will pass my savings on to you." Shut every Hyperlink Blocked. Oh, Chris. Now, you don't need to be an English teacher to know you can't use someone every big and flow. Big is not a noun, it's an adjective, so Spanton using it as a noun here doesn't make sense. If you're going to argue that Spanton follows rules of grammar, then not only do you have to say this hyperlink blocked is an adjective, but you'll also have to argue that this big is a noun. While I may personally find it very amusing to imagine Spanton can make Frisk Big the cat, reasonable interpretation. I trust you can now see why I find this entire school of thought so dubious. The foundation for this branch of logic has a lot of difficulties. However, just because the foundations are flawed doesn't mean the conclusions aren't necessarily wrong. So let's give the individual theories a closer look. First is the string theory, which holds that the entity pulling Spanton's strings is also ties two of Spanton's mysteries together. Namely, it ties the mystery of the entity pulling his strings with the mystery of overlaying thought. However, while I generally praise theories that attempt to solve multiple mysteries simultaneously, this theory is so vague in its content that it's hard to find it particularly convincing. Why do I say this theory is vague? Well, let me put it this way. String theory holds that an entity we know nothing about is using some sort of power we don't understand to control Spanton to an unspecified degree and control to permit.
じっくり何にするのじゃ？今後ともよろしく頼むぞ。はあ、もう朝までお休みだね。
Specified, and the entity is doing all this for some totally unknowable goal. You see the problem? This theory raises a ton of questions while not actually providing almost anything in terms of answers. Even if we plug in some mysterious entity into this theory, like Gaster or the Angel, that doesn't make the theory any more persuasive. While it's entirely feasible that one of these entities may have played some role in manipulating Spanton, they are still extremely mysterious characters which we know next to nothing about. Overall, string theory isn't fundamentally bad, and I do appreciate the attempts to solve multiple mysteries, but the extreme vagueness completely undermines its persuasiveness. That brings us to the next theory in this category, missing data theory. This theory is a little more specific, but it's still unfortunately unclear regarding who, when, how, and why Spanton gained access to this mysterious data. I appreciate attempts to integrate Spanton's nature as a computer program into its explanation of hyperlink block, but much like string theory, missing data theory raises more questions than it answers. How did Spanton access this hidden information? If he was told about this info over the phone by the phone entity, then he still remembered this data since it wasn't stored on a computer in the first place? Or is this theory arguing that the phone entity guided Spanton to some special place where he accessed the information that had since gone missing? If so, why isn't this quest for hidden knowledge ever brought up? And if this theory is arguing that Spanton got this special information from someone other than the phone entity, then who could possibly have given it to him? Furthermore, the fundamental assumption of this theory is the idea that Spanton can only discuss topics if he has direct access to the data on those topics, which is an assumption that we have no real grounds for. At no point in the cyber world is it implied that doctors based on computer programs can only access information in their memories if that information is still present on the computer they reside in. This assumption also implies that all the things that Spanton talks about, including elegant arrows, hot singles, and all the other absurd sales slogans, are still available as data on this computer, which seems both dubious and contrived. Overall, missing data theory fails for the same reason string theory did. It answers too little and raises too many questions. Next is Toby Fox theory, which is probably the least useful theory in this video. At least with the other theories, they provided some sort of in-universe explanation for why Spamton says hyperlink blocked. But this theory doesn't even do that. It literally just argues that Spamton says hyperlink blocked because Toby Fox wants him to. Which, I mean, yeah, that's true, but it's also completely meaningless and doesn't answer any of the questions surrounding this phrase.
It's not engaging with the mystery that's intentionally trying to ignore that the mystery even exists.
Nothing at all. So, yeah. And last in this category is
The equivalent of saying, oh, gravity exists because God decided it was.
It's well established that Spamton is suffering from some pretty severe mental illness, which means the idea of him suppressing traumatic memories is quite reasonable. But that said, I'm not sure how logical this mental block is within the context of hyperlink block. Spamton seems to remember exactly what hyperlink block is and what it can do, which would suggest that his memory isn't suppressed at all. You could argue that this is just how suppressed memories work for a computer program, but the idea of mental illness affecting Darker's memory has no real evidence. As such, while I appreciate this theory trying to tie Spamton's mental illness into the mystery of hyperlink block, I don't think this argument has a ton of proof. That's all of the multiple concepts theories covered. You can now see that there are a number of overarching issues with all the theories in this category. Namely, they don't provide any meaningful answers to the questions at hand. They all just hypothesize about some potential context surrounding hyperlink block without having any conclusive stance on what the phrase truly means. It being tied to the entity pulling its strings, or some sort of missing data, or it being hidden behind some mental block, are all theories more focused on elements of Spamton's backstory than anything else. Which is fine, that's a valid avenue of theory crafting, but it's not very useful or compelling when it comes to discussing hyperlink block itself. It seems to me that the people who ended up in this category generally don't think it's possible to solve hyperlink block using the information we currently have, which is why there are no definitive answers in any of these theories. That brings us to the largest and final category of theories we'll be analyzing today. Now, in order for a single concept theory to stand up to scrutiny, there are two criteria. The first criterion is that the term needs to fill the role that hyperlink block holds in this story. Namely, it needs to be something Spamton wants, something Spamton is promising Chris, something that Chris makes in the Snowbird route, something that Spamton can upload to the empty disk, and something that Spamton can have a little bit of in the morning. The second criterion we will be considering is whether or not Spamton uses the term anywhere else in his dialogue. For example, one of these theories is the freedom theory, and yet Spamton uses the word freedom at least once. That may prove that hyperlink blocked can't be replacing freedom since Spamton uses the term elsewhere. We don't actually know if hyperlink blocked prevents Spamton from using these terms in general, or if it only blocks him from using them in specific contexts. But since it would be rather strange for hyperlink blocked to only function sometimes, I will judge a theory more favorably if it argues that Spamton is using a term that he never says anywhere else. This second criterion isn't a hard rule, but it is a useful guideline. With these criteria in place, let's dive into the single concept theories. Now, right out the gate, I'm going to save us all some time and eliminate some of the weaker theories immediately. Smokes, coffee, Big Shot Autos, Big Shot Soda, and Peepas are all pretty clearly incorrect. Either Chris doesn't want them, Chris doesn't make them in Snowgrave, Spamton frequently uses them in dialogue, or they just generally fail to function as a meaningful narrative. The rest of the theories, while
見事だ。
certainly varying in quality, deserve at least a little more attention. First is determination theory. Determination is as powerful as it was in Undertale.
見
It
事だ。
makes sense that Chris and
見事
Spankin
だ。
wanted, and
登
they
録
knew
か。
exactly what they need to cut the strings that are
気をつ
controlling.
けていけ。
Spankin promising to give Chris
またな。
determination is a little strange, but it's not out of the question. We know determination can be achieved through artificial means thanks to
こ
Thrawn.
こ任せとけ。
This could be read as foreshadowing of Phantom planning to absorb Chris's soul. Perhaps Phantom intends to grant Chris access to his determination by forcing them to